Okay, welcome everybody to Advancing Consciousness series. My name is Franco De Nicola for the people that don't know me. And tonight's episode, again, it's a part 3. Are you ready? This is episode 6, part 3. So we've already had 2 other parts before. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, it would be highly suggested that you go through it again and take a look at it. It does have a lot of information that kind of builds on to tonight's episode and tonight's part actually in the episode. So we get to play, and so the big question we have at this point in time, we're just checking some technology here.
Still playing somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. It's just delayed, I guess. Okay, so sorry about the interruption there. So the big question that comes up, are you going to do what you actually came here to do, or are you going to wait until your next life? Because many of us are here right now with full intention to use this opportunity that is extremely unique in all existence. I mean, every existence, every creation, every playground, every series of physicalities and in solar systems and galaxies and universes are all amazing. All of them are quite unique in itself. But, you know, here we are on planet Earth. It's kind of a really hot spot that a lot of people wanted to come here, basically a lot of souls. And even the human entities wanting to reincarnate, take a body right away, Gaia ready to offer a physicality at this point in time to kind of create that unification where you're basically looking at the soul by connecting with the human entity and connecting with the body and creating such a powerful, powerful expression and experience on this playground. And right now, you know, with all the changes that have gone on and where we're at now, it's almost like many of us have been waiting for this opportunity. So again, when the question comes up, are you going to do what you intended to do here, or are you planning to wait and wait some more and then wait some more and possibly do it on another lifetime? But the thing is to keep in mind, what we are going through, this really fast track and the shifting that's going on with all the different stages and platforms to play with and the changes from one platform to another is not something that's going to be replicated. So in essence, the choice is yours. Well, let me jump in, let me go out and play and do it in a big way. So anyways, welcome to the team that chooses to move forward. If you're here, somehow, something inside of you has called you to trigger and get yourself moving towards the direction that you actually came here to experience. And all of you, every single one of you have a humongous, an amazing offering just being here. The fact that your soul is in your body carrying that particular signature and frequency on the planet, the human entity connecting with it, the body, and where you were born with the lineage you came through and the family dynamics and all of the different connections that you had now has really, you know, plays a huge role in where we're all heading together. So you're very instrumental in being here. So no one's here Even if you took on a role of an extra, you would not, in any way, shape, or form, not be of service, not supporting the whole. Because no matter what, if you're looking at a movie, for example, you do require the extras. You may not have main characters, but the extras are required to make the movie fully integratable, and also in a way it supports the whole storyline. And that's the thing I want to share, because no matter what position you've taken on and what you're going to do, it's all instrumental. Okay, and some have taken on a role that's saying, okay, I'm going to be being a forerunner or something of that nature, and that's fantastic. You came prepared for it and so forth. Some of us got stuck, and now you're getting yourself unstuck, but here we go. We're out to play, and we're ready to go to the next level. So anyways, we're going to carry on. One of the things I wanted to bring up, which usually becomes an obstacle for us, one of the things we have to understand, and I know I've talked about it briefly in different times along the episode and through my other workshops and so forth. One of the things is the past, okay? We have this thing about the past. We seem to be attached to it, you know? And believe it or not, most of us, in one way or another, even if you're thinking, okay, the past is not playing a role in my life, I let it go. Right? But there's more to the past than just what you've experienced. Because in your life, as you move forward and you having different experience from the moment you arrived all the way to this point in time, each and every experience you've had has created an opportunity for you to advance, to access another level of yourself, but at the same time, a level to create more labels and definitions and restrictions within yourself. So the thing is, our past usually carries a lot of different experiences that we have labeled one way or another, being good, bad, or somewhat undecided. But it's not only the labels of who you are. Thinking, okay, you know within that you're this powerful being as having a human expressions with the great gifts that you have to offer. However, playing the game with the ego and everything else along our path in our life from entry point to where you are now and continuing down, we have had many, many different experiences. And along the way with these experiences, we have labeled it. And sometimes not only the label, we have defined ourselves by them. Okay? So if we had a situation where we somehow believed or took on the belief, and that was kind of perfect in a way to have the belief temporarily, the belief that we were maybe not good enough, or that we didn't even deserve it, or some way that you're a victim, or in some other way that, you know, you are this unfortunate physical representation, or that you're a loser, this or that. I mean, there's lots of different stories that we've attached to. Then that kind of creates an imprint that we carry along our life. So as these other events come along, it's always tainted in there along the way. And if you are here now, this is your now. If you are here in the now, and you haven't really let go of all the labels, definitions, and so forth of anything that you've experienced, then it still affects you on how do you experience the now. But it doesn't stop there. It also affects you or becomes part of whatever you're going to create the next moment and the next moment and the next moment, because it becomes a reference point. It has an automatic default. So every time you're choosing to move forward, any of this becomes brought up to the memory, especially if you have a very active ego, which most of us do. It's going to be bringing up more and more of those memories. And then, of course, the ego is very good at it, because the ego itself has a very skilled operating system that will not only take one little particular experience and the label of it will continue to build stories and always bring it into this moment and the future. So always tainting it over and over again. So this is where we step in and say, okay, do I need in any way, shape, or form carry any of this? Do I need to identify with any of this? Can I just let that go? Now, some of us have had what you can call traumatic experiences, something intense in one way or another. So at times we feel that, oh, we can't really let that go that easily. I have to go through a whole process of healing from it because I was scarred by it. Well, the scars itself is an illusion, really, created within the ego confines. You know, saying that that was bad, and that not only was it bad, you know, you're affected by it. Actually, in fact, you're damaged goods now, that you're really never going to recover from it. But it doesn't stop there. It says, because of these particular experiences, there's no way. You've already lost a lot of precious time. You had a lot of opportunities here that you could have used in an effective way if those things really didn't happen to us. And the fact that, oh, I had certain parents or certain siblings, or I had certain family dynamics, or certain friends, or certain bullies, or whoever else in our life stream. Or that I was born in a certain part of the world, and that part of the world was playing a very victimizer role, and so forth. So I'm tainted by all of this. There's no way that I can, you know, move forward in the way I could if I didn't have all of that. But we have to look at two things here. The first thing we have to look at, who decided? Who decided who decided that we were going to have those experiences? Who decided that we were going to have those particular playmates, that particular situation or circumstances, or that environment, or that we would have those parents, or that we would have, you know, certain positioning in the world? You did. You may not be aware of it because the ego is going to say, no way. We had no choice. I just ended up here, and I got lousy parents, or I got great parents, or I got lousy part of the world, or I got disadvantaged. We were poor, we were this, we were that, whatever it may be. I was sexually abused, or whatever it is. I had no say in that. I didn't choose that. That's what the ego is going to say. But the true essence of it is, you're here. This is you. Of course, my limited drawing, but you have yourself, you're talking about your higher self, which we call the soul, your human entity, learn how to write better, okay, and then the body itself. Which, you know, when we put this together, we call that the superconscious. And if you thought you were in Superman or something like that, at least you have a superconsciousness. So what are we looking at? At some point, all of these alignments and all the preparation staged all of this, not to take you down and to create a world where you would come in disadvantaged. You created an environment with an opportunity to be able to experience something of whatever intensity it may have been, with the opportunity to really flourish from it. Not to be limited in any way, shape, or form. That's how it really works. So in essence, you were involved. And if you actually look into your conscious mind, which is the collection of all of this, okay, and including, you know, your soul is also connected to your soul family. And that had a part in it too. So when you look at the conscious mind, it says, yeah, we signed up for all of this. I understand that. We came here to play. We really wanted to play this video game to a max. We wanted to create a scenario that maybe in a previous life or lives we got stuck in. And this time we wanted to make sure we set the stage a particular way for us to be able to launch ourselves in a huge way. And right now, with everything that's playing out, energetically and otherwise, the way that you have chosen to be participating with all of this here is being purged through us, because all we needed to maintain from all of these experiences is just the experience. Not only the experience, the knowledge and the capacities that you were able to exercise. And even the polarity played a role in it. So you say, okay, you know, I played in the polarity world. Now I am skilled in the polarity world, and now the world that I'm creating now from this moment is not going to involve polarity, because I've already saturated that. I know how that works. So that's the first part. You decided. Should put a question mark. And then you, the multifacets of you, decided to set this up, to come when you came, to play the role that you played, chose the physicality, chose the gender, chose every part of it, because you needed to create a beautiful unit to be able to express and experience, because each staging, each part of it contributes to the changes and evolutionary and enlightenment of the human experience. So congratulate yourself for making that choice, for really setting everything up. But now, when you really connect with yourself and you ask yourself, do I need any part of the past? And now the past has many levels. Okay, the past has from the moment you were born till now. And some people even have past within their mother's womb, when they were experiencing themselves in their mother's womb by feeling the energies of the mom and the communication of the mom, the hormonal balances of the mom, and everything else that was going on. They could hear and feel and learn already from that. So prior to birth, or from birth till now. But then we also have other levels of past lives that we look at and say the past. We brought certain parts of it, but we have the lineage part. Lineage is from the family dynamics, all the different ripples of stories, programs, belief systems, and everything else that we've taken on and we plugged in certain parts for us to experience that we may have chosen. Now, some of us may not have chosen any of the lineage. May have said, nah, not interested. Others said, just give me some. And others said, give it to me. Like, give me a lot. But it's not only that. You're also bringing past lives that may have been not wrapped up completely. And when I mean wrapped up, it means that in some way you really didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve in that particular life. And those past lives are from the human entity, from human incarnations, specifically human incarnations, that you may have had in different physicalities along the way that you didn't really get to finish. So in this time you brought in some of those things. So you plugged it in as part of that experience. And then you have the soul. You have your higher self, or basically the soul, past lives of the soul. Now usually that has a smaller amount if they want to bring anything along, that because at times your soul will reincarnate on planet Earth. But again, you have to understand the soul can reincarnate on any planet, in any part of the galaxy and universe and so forth, and sometimes different universes and different galaxies. But at the same time, it's able to bring forth. So really, this live stream, depending on where you're at and what you've agreed, you may have plugged in a lot of stuff here in this part from the moment you came here till now, to be able to move through it, experience it, play with it, have fun, because that's really what we came here to do, is to have fun, to experience ourselves, to bring that other aspect of ourselves through this game and really elevate the game of life and really advance the game of life. So that's what we're doing. So that's the first part. The second part, number 2, what is that? It has to do with good or bad, right or wrong, and so forth. What does that mean? That every experience is just an experience. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no right, there's no wrong. We play various roles. And that's all we have to understand. Any experience that we may have had that was traumatic, we could turn around and say, that was horrible, that was destructive. However, really, from any other levels, there's a little tinge from the human entity. If there's a related memory that it wants to process, sure, the body may have some memory of having a certain experience that may feel a little intense for it. The human, the higher self and your soul is basically saying, wow, pretty cool, we get to play, you know. So it doesn't, because from a true essence of who you are, a game is a game, and you switch roles and you play whatever you're playing, but there is no good, bad, right, wrong, light, dark, all of that stuff. That was created in the ego world, in the inverted matrix, which was installed and now no longer effective. So matrix, which really only had power in 2D and inverted 3D. It does not have power in organic 3D and 2D. However, most of us are still carrying a lot of this, and we haven't purged that out enough to be able to be fully in organic 3D and 2D. Because in organic 3D and organic, not these two, but organic 3D and organic 5D, there's a deep understanding. There's no right, wrong, good, bad. There's no separation. There's no polarity, no requirement of polarity. There's no requirement of suffering. It doesn't need to be difficult for us to move forward or anything of that nature. It just says, okay, I'm choosing a series of experiences. I'm going to go and I'm going to play that experience. I'm going to plug in everything. Now, I'm going to throw in a bonus. We'll do number 3. So that's the bonus. What is the bonus? Everyone that comes into your life, no matter what role they play. Gotta get some better markers. No matter whatever role they played in your life, if they played the victimizer, they played the victim, they played the aggressor, they played whatever they played, no matter what they have done in that experience, it was never separate from you. One of these, or all of these, including anything that you've plugged in here, was involved in instructing anyone. So if you had a parent that was abusive, yes, they may have their own characteristics, but you already chose to come into that life stream knowing that that was the opportunity, and you chose it so that you could have that experience and to create a lost experience or a confused experience of some sort, just to have the experience and then have the opportunity to transition from it and transform it and transmute it, whatever you want to call it. So the thing is, everyone in your life, no matter what role they play, good, bad, whatever, they're instructed by you. They're not outside of you. They're not going to come and do anything to you. I know this is hard for the mind to conceive, because usually the mind is this, okay? Because your true mind has no problem understanding that. The smaller mind, the noisier one, the one with the story maker, which is the ego artificial intelligence working with the inverted matrix 2D, inverted 3D, will say otherwise. Will say, no, I did not choose it. That was horrible. And this, whatever that was, that I am now damaged because of it, right? But from every other aspect of you, it knows. We came here to play with each other. We're all other aspects of ourselves. Some of us are soulmates, meaning that we've played lives together. And then maybe in one life you may have played an opposite role, and now you swapped places. There's other times that you're going to have a soul family that comes in and that says, okay, you've been stuck a few times, so I'm going to come in and really intensify it. So you tell me what you want me to play and I will play it. And that's how it works. So in essence, The moment you blame anyone, you're going into victim state. And what is victim state? Victim state is only created in one place, the ego. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist unless we create a story that something is outside of you, or that a victimizer exists and the victim is you, or vice versa. So you have to understand, these, you decided there was no right, wrong, good, bad. You had the perfect experience. And the bonus is, no matter who played with you along the way up to this point in time, it was all perfect. So here we are. That's your past. Okay? So now, what's now? What is now? The choice now is, okay, if I have certain other programs left, if I have certain things I'm dragging, I need to let it go. Because we say, okay, we're ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll, move along. Well, the first thing is you can't carry the baggage with you. And the baggage is anything that you decided to take care of, or carry along with you to this moment, right? Because our true operating natural state is like a duck, okay? Whatever encounter they may have a little squabble or something like that, and they go away and it's gone, forgotten about. With us, we don't even have to have the squabble. We basically see the perfection in each person's role. We experience from it, and then we move on. Our true nature is not to hold on. The true nature is not to even label, because every time you hold on, everything that you label becomes a limit for us. Okay? And we say we want to move forward. We can't move forward dragging everything with us. And this is what we're doing right now, is we're looking and reevaluating, what do I really have to carry? Now, you have the option to spend the next 3 months really contemplating to see what of the past you need to carry. Okay? And you can really diligently, stop everything else you're doing and spend the next 3 months focusing on what you need to carry. But if you are really, truly ready to rock and roll and move forward in a big way, I'll give you the shortcut. You don't need any of it. None of it. That's the realization you'll come to. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but I'm giving you the key right here. You don't have to carry any of it. Create every moment new right now. Where you are right now, the awareness you have right now, the experiences you have right now. And the thing is, you want to let go of the ego? It's not that easy to let go when you're carrying the past with it. First of all, the ego is going to help you carry the past, but then at the same time, if you're going to carry the past, you can't let go of the ego. And the ego is going to make stories after story after story, and reason after reason why it has to come with you. Remember, it's not a badge of honor, whatever you went through. And I'm not saying that these have to be all bad. You could have had some really amazing things. You could have been somebody really popular in school, or been adored and within the family dynamics. Same thing. If we're going to refer to that, it still limits us, because really we're here to be now. Remember, everything from the past, so everything from here was created under the banner of the inverted matrix, 2D and inverted 3D. It really has no reference to the organic 3D or 5D. And the D's mean dimensional consciousness. Okay? So we're saying we want to move forward. We're ready to go into organic 3D and organic 5D. We're ready, full throttle, ready to go. However, if we're holding the past, it's going to be very difficult for you to work or be fully integrated within these two platforms, because everything in the past was created under the inverted matrix, inverted 3D, and 2D. The organic matrix only supports this and this. It does not support 2D and inverted 3D or any of the stuff that was created from there. So you have to understand, when you're looking at your past, when you're looking at your experience of your life and looking back at the past, you have to understand, it's not only what was created, what state of consciousness were you in at that time? How much awareness did you have? How much experience did you already have, say, right here, at this time? But it is not even that. So where were you in your awareness and consciousness when you had this experience? And when you labeled it too. But where was the planet? Where was the energies of the planet? Where were the energies of all the collective? What roles and games were being played out? Who was where and who was doing what when it came to the roles that were being played? So you have to look at it that the past is all old versions of you and different alignments. What you experienced yesterday, just one day ago, is going to be very different than today. But if you're going to say, well, you know, I got to hold on to it because this is what happened to me yesterday, you're going to stifle what you can create today. If you reflect on anything of yesterday, it stifles you what you create today. And creating a future, well, that becomes even more limited because things are moving so quickly along the way. You have to be free and live in the moment, each moment along the way. That's how you move forward. But if you're not doing that, then you're not. So hopefully I shared enough with you to understand that carrying any of the past with you is not going to be conducive for you, except if you want to have the experience of dragging it some more. It's not going to be conducive for you to move forward in a big way, as long as we're dragging it. And there's more attached to that. The other thing is, too, we also have this idea that if certain things happened along our life, that we somehow have to go back and resolve them. Okay? Say you had an interaction with a family member or a friend or somebody, whoever it may be, then we have this idea that somehow I have to go back and rectify things. I have to resolve it. I have to bring clarity to it. But really, what are you doing? You're trying to bring clarity to yourself based on unclarity, because you're trying to bring clarity about a certain experience. Say this experience here, you want to bring clarity to that experience with the involvement of certain people. Remember, this is all change. They're not the same people. You're not the same person. And the fact that you're going in to say, well, I have to resolve this, it's just an illusionary distraction that is created by the ego for you to keep you stuck and wasting time. And I shouldn't say wasting time, but keeping you in that old pattern. Okay, and then yeah, you could look at it and say, well, okay, I'm not moving as quickly because here I am. I have to go heal it. I have to resolve it. I have to do this. I have to do that. And those are the things. There's nothing to resolve because, as I said, anything that played out what was perfect then, at that time. At that time, it was a requirement. At that time, there was an agreement. At that time, there was an orchestration. At that time, there was involvement of various individuals. And it was key, instrumental, unfathomable, that no way it could have been different. I mean, we always have the choice to make it a little different. But at the same time, that's how it had to play. Because you were in a state that required that experience. The people that were playing with you also needed some parts of it. So you all got together and created that experience. But the thing is, that was valid at that time. Is it valid now? No, not at all. So forget about resolving anything. Doesn't matter how it looks in your mind, because this, the only part that's going to say it's a bad thing that needs to be resolved is always back to the ego. The ego's purpose, and I'll get a little more into it, is to keep you in 2D inverted 3D while working in the inverted matrix. That's what it's designed for. That's what it's programmed to do. So you're going to say, okay, well, do I keep playing with all of this and fighting into it to the point I get to this, to one point and say, okay, I'm done with this, right? So looking at this now and saying, okay, there's nothing to resolve, all played out perfectly. And if I have a label and I have a definition that something bad happened, that is not necessary any longer for me to carry. Because as long as I carried it, say even if I carried it for 40 years, for example, or 20 years, oh, a whole lifetime, some people have been here for 60, 70, 80, 90 years. And you say, well, I carried it that long, you know, can I just let it go now? It's unresolved. I've seen it so many times, people, and I'm sure you have too, where people haven't resolved something that happened 20 years ago. You know, the thing is, whatever happened, happened. Whatever played out, played out. It's an experience. Cool. Move on. Let's go play. Let's go have to. Because when you're playing, you're not going to look back at how I played 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or beyond. You don't look at that. It's, okay, I played, I experienced, I move on. Next. You know, what's next? Because we're designed to be moving. We're designing to create new, not to drudge the old and carry the old. So the thing is, there's nothing to resolve. All was perfect. Keep that in mind. All was perfect. The only thing that's going to say it's not perfect is ego. Because when you're connecting to your higher self says, oh, it's perfect. Perfect because no matter how intense it was, how polarized it was, how black and white it was perfect because it was an experience. That's all we're here to do, is have the experience. We come here to play. We came here to learn from the play. We came here to become more enlightened, to remember bits and more pieces of ourselves as source itself, and to plug in that source essence more and more in that human experience so the whole human experience evolves. That's it. You were going to say something, Kimberly?
Harry's asking regarding resolving things. If the physicality is damaged, how does that play in?
How is the physicality damaged?
Yeah. If
Okay.
the physicality is damaged, how does that play?
Okay, there's two
in?
things with that. If the physicality is involved and it has had some traumatic, you know, whatever it was going, you have to understand it played out the same way. Okay? So what are you going to do? You could say, oh, this happened to me, and now I am damaged goods because my physicality is left, you know, in this particular state, whatever that may be. Could even be in a wheelchair, could be whatever, right? But you go, okay, that happened then. That was perfect. I am here right now, no matter what my condition of my physicality is. Doesn't matter my state. I'm in this state because it's perfect for me to be in this state. I chose to be in this state. I chose to have those experiences to bring. So you now choose to say, okay, it was perfect. Whatever happened, I'm here now. How do I use my current state to experience myself? How can I use my current state as an opportunity to advance, but also to affect others? By just letting go of all the attachments of what that injury, I'm just using that as an example, that injury represented, and woe me and all of that stuff, by letting that part go, by letting go the fact of whatever happened, who did it, what was involved, and it doesn't matter if it, you know, it said it was a mistake, or because there are no mistakes, by the way, but at the same time it was a mistake, or someone else's poor choice and so forth left you in this position, or whatever it may be. You got to get to a point where you just let it go. Okay? I'm here now. What do I do with it now? Because by being resolved, by being perfectly where I am now and moving forward, a lot of the restrictions you may have had starts to reverse. It doesn't mean that you will fully recover from it, that the opportunity will be there if that is serving in one way or another. If not, you just move on with where you're at. you're going to say.
Yes, someone was asking Valerie, what about phobias? Because phobias can come from past life.
Absolutely. Those are good ones to play with. Because when we're talking about phobias, phobias can come in various ways. You can have a phobia memory that the body is carrying because it didn't get to clear, or from the human entity. So when you're looking at that, what is the phobia about? It is a past thing. So welcome the phobia in. Acknowledge it's present. Don't fight it. See it as a beautiful, elevated expression, reaction, whatever you want to call it, experience. Acknowledge it, thank it for its presence, appreciate it to no end. The fears, the phobias, whatever it is, if you allow yourself to first of all experience it. And when I say experience it, because people say, well, I experience it all the time, I go crazy, right? Or I react or something like that, and I lose control. Well, a lot of times we're fighting that. So when you see it coming on, you say, okay, bring it on, let's go play with this, and just feel it to the point where, it gets to a tipping point, and at some point it just implodes in a way. But you say, okay, I'm welcoming it, and if you're reacting, just allow yourself to be in reaction. Don't go crazy running around doing whatever. Allow it just to feel it, that whole intensity. Some of the people have had phobias of being in claustrophobic states or whatever it is, and allowing yourself to really, really just go into the depth of it because you allow it to come in and appreciate it and appreciate it and appreciate it and love it. It tends to change because what happens is you're actually giving it another reference point so that it does not have to be the same. So if you're having that particular experience, the normal default is to go into fear, to go into reaction, or going into fight and flight type of mode, right? So by allowing it to come in and not moving and saying, okay, I'm going to go through it, and it can be intense. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, I've played with phobias myself because personally, and I've had to go to the point where, it didn't matter what I did. I had to allow it to come. I had to welcome it. I had to experience it fully. And more than once, actually, where I've had to experience it fully. Prior to that, it was always that reaction, but allowed it to fully and then appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm showing me whatever you're showing me, because at times those phobias are tied into stories, programs, and belief systems. And in my own personal case, and then I've worked with other people over the 35 years, many of them actually, that had phobias. But we always looked at it to a story of some sort where you felt confined, or you felt that you didn't have a choice and now you died. So that may have been something from a human entity perspective, or sometimes it's even from the soul, or the body itself has some of that is still imprinted coming from the lineage, which was carried from some of the family dynamics. So allowing yourself to experience it, acknowledge it, appreciate it, and you got to genuinely appreciate it. Get to the point where you see it as a what do you call it, an experience. You see it as a game. You see it as, oh, wow, this is a powerful emotion, powerful whatever, and you allow it to feel it completely, and with love, and then you can just volunteer it to leave, or in essence, I relieve you from that. I no longer need to play with this because I am not, here to adhere to this phobia or this whatever that it may. It could be claustrophobic. It could be phobias of different memories and flashes of something that may harm you or something of that nature. Just allow it to welcome it, and then let it move on. Because the only reason it would come up is for you to experience, acknowledge it, to appreciate it, and to love it, and then to let it go because it no longer serves you. And many of us have taken on that for us to be able to clear it out from the lineage, sometimes from the body memory as imprints, or from the human entity, and sometimes from the soul too, but not as much. But in essence, you said, okay, I've got to take it on. I want to move through it. I want to go through it, so let me do it. I'll take it on. So just use it in that fashion. Okay? Great. What was I going to say? All right. What was the next thing I was going to talk about? Okay. All right. So we don't have to resolve any part of it. Okay? because just acknowledging it, that it's active within yourself, acknowledging it, appreciating whatever roles played, whatever took place, acknowledge it, thank it, love it, and then let it free. And what happens, you're going to feel lighter and lighter and lighter for every little package you let go of. Because right now, the key is to live in the moment, to live present, to live in the fullest potential of who you are, and you can't do it with the past, because the past is that. The other thing you got to keep in mind in the past does not exist any longer. Whatever was created there is no longer there. The timeline dissolved. This is the way it is. So in fact, whatever amount of timelines, the multiple timelines it took to have these experiences as you move through them, they've all collapsed and it's all gone. So the only thing that exists is now, and one perfect straight timeline with nothing in it that you're plugging in along the way. So for you, every time you go back into the memory of the past, you're actually recreating it, but it's never recreated the same. You're creating it as close as possible from when you remember. But when you look at it, this is where, we start to look back and say, I don't remember it being that way or something of that nature. And I've seen this happen before, because I remember as a kid, when I was at a particular school, in grade school, some years later, I mean, I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago, maybe more than that, I went back, and of course I was an adult at that point in time, and I was in my 50s or something of that nature, or even slightly younger than that. But I remember going there, and it didn't seem the same way I remembered. The school really didn't get changed much at all. It was an old school, but everything looked very different. But at that point in time, because it was just a memory, and the memory, you have to remember, when you're having the experience, you're creating that reality. You're plugging it in. And a lot of times what you're seeing, others are not seeing. And it wasn't even a construct that was solid. It was a construct that was plugged in from your own creation. Because you can have people's memories of a similar situation. That's where the Mandela effect and all that stuff comes in, where you're basically looking at it, and there's different viewpoints of it, because we have different facets of the memory depending on how we looked at it. Even if we looked at it now, of course, from the past, it's going to look different, because we are different. And we can't really replicate it, because our frequency is different, our consciousness is different, our mindset is different, the way we project reality is different, the platform is different, everything is different. Go ahead.
What needs to happen before the new programs for the physicality kick in?
What needs to happen?
Before the new programs for the physicality kick in.
Okay, so the programs, the natural operating system of the physicality, the natural operating system of what we call the human experience is all there, okay? Now, for it to get online, okay, it's for us to shed the old programs. All the programs that we've taken on, programs that we've carried on through body to body, carried through the human entity, some from the soul. But basically what you're doing is you're clearing out everything that was created before. So what you're looking at, the representation of ourselves now is a construct of multiple programs that were all 2D, inverted 3D, inverted matrix. So that has to be purging. So this is the thing. That's what's happening right now. And this is why there's been a big push for us to purge all of that old stuff, including the past, because the past becomes part of it. So we need to clear all of that stuff. So by letting go of the old operating system, the operating system that we took on, and this is why the deprogramming takes place, and this is why you're looking at every story, program, belief system, and so forth that you would have adopted and utilized in your experience, and you need to let go of that. Everything that represents polarity, all that represents separation, all that represents that, fight or flight, fears and requiring protection and victimizer, all of these programs, all the programs of good and bad, right and wrong, all of that stuff, right, black and white, what do you call it, light and dark, and all of that stuff. Those are the programs that were not our natural operating system. So that's on the standby, and it's already there, okay, including the organic matrix. So it's attempting to activate already, but we're still clearing out all of the stuff that we've gained up to this point in time to allow those other programs to start to come online more and more. So they're ready. It's us clearing the space, because if we have conflicting programs, one program is still supported by the ego, it's going to continue to interfere. So you're going to feel at times that you feel, wow, I'm at ease, I'm playful, I feel great in so many different ways, and I want to experience life a certain way, and all of that comes into play. And then other times, just the slightest little trigger, memory, something of that nature, and all of a sudden your energy takes a dip, you have a reactive mode, and so forth. So what you're doing is, in a way, switching off or tuning down the true operating system, and that other operating system is kicking in, and that's the old operating system. So really, that's the only obstacle, if you want to call it that, but it seems to override. But the thing is, the energies are coming further and further. That higher consciousness is trying to activate, or is activating bit by bit more, becoming more online, and then the other stuff is getting pushed out further and further. So this is why right now we're having all these emotional charges, all these reactions, and everything else coming up to the surface in such a big way, so that we can actually see it, acknowledge it, thank it, love it, and free it. Because this is what you do. And then the more we clear, the more online our true operating system comes out. Okay? Okay. The other thing that's usually an obstacle for us to move forward is, and some people really have invested time in that, okay, which is being obsessed in being perfect. And we can't move forward until everything is perfect. So that means I got to get all this stuff done before I can take the next step. You need to go to a party, for example. Well, I got to do all these things before I go. In fact, I got to make sure that the car is washed, this is done, that's done, whatever it is, and I'm taking care of whatever it is. But that reflects on so many things. We're not even calling about that. So we feel that, oh, listen, I got to make sure that everything is perfect at this moment. Like everything that I feel in my mind, or I've come in, because you have to understand it, it's from the mind or ego, saying, well, we got to take care of all of these things because we can't move forward if we got all this unfinished business. Well, it doesn't work that way. You start taking the steps, and the stuff that needs to be taken care of, you will look at it, take care of it. Maybe it only needs 2% taken care of. Maybe it needs 50 or maybe 100%. But the thing is, you're not going to look at it and go through every single one and say, okay, this has to be taken care of, whatever, 100%. We have to let go of that, because that becomes a distraction, a delay for us. So it's all perfect anyways. What you get to, you get to. What you don't, you don't. Whatever is a burden and it does not match where you're at or where you're choosing to experience life, then let it go. Whatever happens to it, because in essence it dissolves anyways. And if it involves other people, no problem. Everybody's got their own navigation system. Everyone has their own creation. Everybody is a creator. You're not the only one. Everybody's a creator. So you need to let go of this whole idea that I have to make everything perfect. Some people want to get into, want to change careers or change a relationship or change, parts of their lives. And so, well, I got to make sure everything is taken care of first. I got to make sure everything is perfect before I move on. Some of you have already experienced it. Maybe many of you have experienced it where you've tried that. I'm very good at it too. I've tried it many times where, try to put everything in order, and it never seems to get, because as soon as you get something in order, something else doesn't in order. Because the message behind all of that is we don't have to make it in order. If you feel totally from a heartfelt state that, okay, I got to finish this because there's something that I'm learning from this, and it's also an agreement with some people of some sort because I'm assisting them, then that's one thing. But to say, well, I have to take care of this because the ego mind is saying, oh, you got to take care of all of these things, you will notice some of you have done that for a while, or maybe even a longer while. And then notice at some point it's like, oh, I give up, forget it. I'm not even going to try to fix it anymore. I'm not even concerned about it. I'm just going to let it go. You move on, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I don't even know why I held on to that. Or the fact that you spend so much time invested in that. You know, like example, you know, I do some coaching and stuff like that with people, and somebody's starting their business, and they got to make sure everything is perfect, you know, including ourselves. You know, when we started with this series, you know, we want to get it right, but I couldn't. We had no time to get it right, and we didn't have the technologies all put together, so we just fired off. You know, so the first few ones were not that great, you know, in the sense when it came to the technical glitch. The information that was shared was perfect, but at the same time, perfect what you needed to know, but at the same time, you know, there was the glitches and whatever else. So it's like, let's get started, and we'll refine, retool, readjust, fine tune, whatever it is going forward. And this represents with life. I don't have all the answers. Yeah, but you know what I have right now? I have this knowing. And then this knowing, I'm just going to take the next step from it. And you know, a lot of times what we do is we have to know, okay, I need to know the whole path. I want the map. You know that guidance system, you know, that you put in in your GPS. I need to know what's here, and not only here. I need to be told exactly how to get there, and I need to be held hand, and it has to go smooth. I don't want any bumps. I don't want any red lights. I don't want anything to stop it. But that's not how it works. The way it works is you have enough for this moment and creating the next moment. When you're in the next moment, you'll have enough for that moment and creating the next moment. So basically, because you have to understand, each moment you're changing, each moment you're getting more input, each moment you're becoming more aware, each moment you're shifting within yourself. You're letting go of things, you're activating things, bringing some other things online and whatever else. So that's changing you all the time. The planet's changing, the energies are changing, and so forth, so that you got to stay in motion, moving forward, step by step, without needing to say everything has to be perfect before I take a step, because everything is perfect for whatever that experience is, but it may not look perfect with this. It may have an issue with that. It says, wait a minute, I don't have all the checks and balances put in place. I don't have all of these things aligned up here. You know, what about this? And what about that? And what you promised Aunt Harry, or whatever her name is, but Harriet or whatever. You know, all of that. And then saying, well, you know, we gotta finish that. You could ask yourself, you could say, okay, well, do I need to finish this? Is it even in resonance, or am I feeling a responsibility or guilt or feeling that and so forth? Because realistically, when we're actually, you know, connecting to ourself, we realize that we only do what we have to do, but that have to do is not really a have to do it from a mind perspective. It's like, okay, this serves us at this point, and it also, now at times you're going to get caught up dragging some of the stuff. It's only to make you much more aware that we don't have to, and that it's easier to let it go. You were going to say something.
Yeah, Harry had a question. Changes with 5D, etc., will continue to be seemingly gradual.
Yes, yes. Well, the thing is, we're in the platform of Organic 5D and Organic 3D. There's those two platforms. They're kind of interlaid. So in essence, it's already there. Everything is there. What's gradual is you, all of us, individually, at different paces. Because for now, for us to fully integrate and operate in fifth dimensional consciousness, everything is there. However, the letting go of the past, letting go of the 2D and 3D operating system and the inverted matrix and the ego that keeps us all there is the only thing that is slowing things down. So, is it going to be gradual? Well, it depends how much value, how much power, and how long is it going to take for us to let go of everything. You know, for you to sit back and say, okay, I let everything go, but how you're saying that may depend on if any of it goes or not, because in essence, like, okay, I don't like this anymore, I want to let it go. No, you have to appreciate every part. You have to love every part of it. You have to be, okay, I'm done with this, because this feels great, but, you know, I've had the ride enough times and whatever, so I can let it go. It's not like you're going to judge it. So really, that's the gradual part, is how long does it take for us to purge out all of the old stuff. all of the inverted 3D, 2D, inverted matrix, and also all of the ego operating system. And the thing is, all of this, your past is all in the subconscious mind. So in the subconscious mind, it's not just only the experience. Like I said, there was a label in it and there was a definition. So what it means, so you're purging that too. If you feel that you've been damaged because of some experience in your past, and that's going to be a hard one to let it go, then that's going to slow things down. Because when you're in organic 3D and organic 5D, this means nothing. You don't even refer to it anymore. It's like, I'm in the ride. I don't care what's behind me or whatever took me here, because you're going to see that this was necessary to bring you where you are, depending, because the world was very different through all these stages. So it took you where you needed to be. You are here now, and that's really, okay, and it's not like I'm going to look forward and that's where I'm going. I'm looking forward because I am looking at each moment moving forward, but I have no expectation what it's going to look like at the end, because the moment you put an expectation, you now limited it, because the expectation becomes a limit. So that's not necessary either, but it's at the sense you're just moving forward in that way so that slows down for us. Now, when people say, well, okay, we're in the platform of organic 5D and we're in the platform of organic 3D, how come we're not experiencing it yet? Well, because collectively, many of us are still 2D, inverted 3D, inverted matrix, and ego-driven, and we're still in the process of purging. So since we're co-creating, our reality, if we shifted already, it already starts to shift, and we start seeing different versions and layers of our experience in our own reality and the playmates that engage with us. But as more of the collective gets online, then you're going to see everything changing. Already the systems are being challenged because there's already changes going on. You have to understand every system, from governmental to medical to educational services to militaries to religions and all of that stuff, was all created in the inverted matrix, 2D, inverted 3D, and ego-based. All of it was created in that. So all of that's going to purge too, because we're going to shift away from it, because it does not match. So as long as that is vivid and alive and active within ourselves, of course, it's going to take a little longer. The gradual part, it's not as gradual as it used to be, because we are being pushed very intensely at this point energetically, but it's not against your will. It's supporting you because you're allowing it. So some of us will be allowing more of it, so you'll feel the push even further, and you'll be able to move a lot quicker for that. The other thing we wanted to mention that is still tied in. Did you have something else? No? Okay. Is to me, one of the other things that hold up people, and I will probably have to stop after that because I don't want to go much longer, so this is still tied in. As much as I have intention to cover a lot of things, then, to get into the depth of it, tends to take a little longer. So one of the other things that becomes a big obstacle is wanting to make sure that everybody's okay. That's huge, okay? A lot of people have that attachment. They want to make sure that their family is okay, their friends are okay, their, siblings, you name it, people, we get caught up in saying, I got to fix and help these people before I can move on. And if I move on, then they're going to be left behind and so forth. Well, the key here is for you to move forward, regardless, okay? Everybody's going to be okay. Everybody's in charge. It doesn't matter if they're 1 year old or if they're 100 years old. Everybody's in charge. They will create whatever experience they need, when they need it, how they need it. Now, just because you're moving forward means that you're moving forward in your state, but there may be other people that will come along. There may be your children, whatever it is, will come along. But if they don't, and if they do, but they don't follow suit in the same way, there's no attachments to the fact that they need to be okay, because they are already okay. They're going to have whatever experience they need. So you use your own inner guidance of that. And I know this is a tough one, especially when parents are involved or when there's family involved, saying, well, I can't leave, I can't do this, I can't do that because, I got to make sure everybody's okay. Well, remember, you have to understand that the same people that are in your life are also rooting for you, even that they're not so consciously making it aware to you, rooting for you to move forward, so that you're actually opening the pathway that they can see that they have an opportunity to follow suit. That you're creating the opportunity for them to see, oh, okay, this is very viable for me to do this, right? Because you want to lead, and when I say lead, you're leading by example. And the thing is, an example is not, a leader does not carry. A leader leads. A leader shows the way, instructs, and whatever else. And they take turns because sometimes other specialists will come in, other leaders will come in. So somebody in your family could, be taking on another role, whatever it is, because we're doing this together. All of it is done together. But as long as we're holding ourselves back to pick up and carry somebody else, then that becomes an obstacle for us. So one of the big beliefs is making sure everybody's okay, and this is the thing. And I've heard this so many times over the last several decades. It's like, oh, I'd like to shift my life. I'd like to let go, but I have to make sure that my siblings or my children, my friends or my family or whoever is okay, partner is okay, and whatever else. Well, I can tell you some of the people that have done that, and many of us have done it ourselves, where we stuck around longer than we knew from inside that we needed to stick around or continue that particular path in our life, and then realizing later on is that we kind of held everything behind because we took our time moving forward. And if we had moved further ahead quicker, that we would have started a chain. And I saw it in my own life too, where I was a little reluctant to make some changes at one point because of small children and whatever else, and then eventually came to the point where I can't wait anymore. I got to do what I have to do. And as much as it caused a ripple effect along the way, later on each of the people involved were grateful for that because they were able to self-empower. They were able to make the adjustments themselves, that I wasn't the one that was carrying them. I wasn't the one that was massaging them. I wasn't the one that was dragging them. Not that I did that, the dragging part, but I was still playing with the thing is I want to make sure that they got a good footing because of their age or whatever it is. But even when it did happen, one of the members weren't quite ready. But later on came to the realization it was the best thing ever because I got to learn about myself and to be able to be self-empowered, to be able to see that I needed to be the one, personally themselves, I needed to be the one that actually made the decision rather than feeling that I was disempowered because there was no mediator in the middle of a particular situation or something of that nature. So we need to let go of this whole thing that we have to make sure everybody's okay because that becomes a huge obstacle for us. And yeah, there's so much more we can play with, and I think we might have to have a part 4, which I was hoping not to, and go into the next episode. But in this case, we'll pick up the pace on Monday at 7 p.m. again. Anyways, just stay tuned. I know that it depends on where you are in the world. This weekend, we're having a time change, daylight savings time. That's observed in some places and it's not observed in other places. So that would make, if it's not being observed the same in different same places, there will be a different time zone or a different, yeah, because we're moving ahead 1 hour. A lot of U.S. and Canada, except for 1 or 2 provinces, are not. But then some of the European countries are not moving at certain times. Other countries don't move at all. So you'll just have to check. So it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time, and you'll have to check what the new 7 p.m. Eastern time is for Monday, because the change happens overnight between Saturday and Sunday. So great. We continue with the episodes. We continue with Are You Ready? And so with more that you've experienced, you have something to work with. Please take the time to re-listen to this, put it into action, start looking at the stuff that's holding you back in the past, and just say, okay, is it time to move? Because the thing is, it's always time to move. How much, where, when, or when I say when, in what areas and whatever else, in different stages, you'll know, because the thing is, you feel the sense of time to move forward. But at the moment, at this point, I would strongly suggest let go of everything in the past. And if you got anything attached to it, get a piece of paper, write it down. and look at it, what it meant. So if you have a certain particular scenario that played out at a certain age, write it out. Okay, at age 5 or whatever that age was at the time, I had this experience and this is how I felt, and now I still feel that I'm inadequate because of it, because of whatever happened at that point. Write it all out and then say, okay, does that even apply any longer? Is it even important now? And things like that. As you start writing out and both, you start noticing already a shifting that happens to you, because it doesn't matter. Whatever that happened at that point in time, and even if it's a younger version of yours, you know, like they call the child within us, you know, just embrace the child and say, hey, you know, that was a nice little game. You know, we had played hide and seek. We played, you know, victim, victimizer. Yes, we played, you know, whatever polarity that was. But it was a great experience, you know. So let's go and experience something else, and that's really what we're doing at this point. So just write it out and allow yourself to clear out, let go of the past. The quicker you let go of the past, the labels, the definitions, and everything else, the further you move forward, the more that you get into the integrational aspect of the organic 3D and organic 5D, which is the playground that you're really wanting to go and play in. Right now, yes, you're moving the transitional part. The transitional part is the transition in you, because the playground's already there. It's us. And what we're projecting in the playground is still us. Now, of course, it's us and the collective us's, but it's still us. But we start with us, and as you start with you, it starts to create more of a ripple effect, and that's how we create change. Is there anything else, Kimberly? No? Okay, so thank you again. After this, you can watch it on Facebook and you can watch it on YouTube, and Vimeo will all be available shortly after, because I think it goes through a little processing time. If you find it valuable and you like it, you can like it. If you don't like it, that's okay too. If you really want to share it with others because it's meaningful and it does assist you and others, the more you share it with others, the more people will be affected by it and you know, start making changes within themselves. If you're on YouTube, you can also, you know, do the like and do the sharing. You can do the subscribing if you haven't subscribed, and the notification bell. If you're on Vimeo, you can just do the follow thing. And so depending on where you are, let's carry on with the series as we continue to advance in our consciousness. Thank you.